Okay, Tzorayim Tov, everyone. Today is the 8th day of Tishrei. We continue in the wonderful Sefer Eshpoich Lifanov Sichi. And yesterday we began the discussion of when you make a judgment below, there's no need for the judgment above. And we continue this idea and show you how valuable this is. So we're on page Reish Nun Beis. HaGemara Omeres, the Gemara in Brachos tells us, Tova mardus achas belibo shel adam yoser mimei malkios. One self-inflicted admonishment in one's heart is better than 100 lashes externally given. Klomar, what does that mean? Adam shemaka al chet umiyasis asu. Somebody who quote unquote hits himself. He gives himself musr. He castigates himself. He gives himself an internal lash. For what? For which you rebelled against Hashem. That maka, that hitting yourself, is so much more helpful than getting 100 lashes in a bezdin for the sin he did. Why? You'd figure you got lashed 100 times, you're not going to do it again. No, the Meiri explains, when a person on his own initiative does tshuva, that teaches that he's reached the epitome of fear of Shem and perfection of tshuva. That's the Meiri sense. Let's explain this. A person sits before Hashem and judges himself. Hashem knows. Any self-inflicted musr that you're really laying it on yourself and you're doing it in front of Hashem. Tova le'ein orach. It's so much more valuable than if Hashem would have to hit him and give him musr. And this is the reason why the person can nullify the judgment that's so hard and the suffering that comes from it. And when a person's engaged in these topics, a person should increase his prayers and supplications to Hashem. That he should help him open up his eyes, that he should teach him why the suffering's coming. What has he done? And what he has to repair, and how he will merit to fix it up. That's certainly if you're suffering. But Mishu Bal Nefesh, person really a spiritual person. You feel a little bit more than this. Not only do I feel bad for myself, but I feel bad that I inflicted pain on Hashem. That Hashem has to go and inflict this on me. Because why? Because that is the revelation of Hashem's covenant this world. So therefore, why did I have to make Hashem discipline me? Couldn't I have behaved in a way that Hashem does not have to discipline me? So you feel bad for Hashem. Because a person should not only engage on how the attribute of justice has spread upon him, Hashem, and to not think about how you've blamed Hashem and rebelled against him. That's the root of all the judgment. He has to repair that. So you got to be thinking it's not just about me, it's about Hashem. A person who's involved in creating his own judgment. You could pass through your whole life in a way that the attribute of mercy is always bound up to you with one knot, with the God who's compassionate and merciful. Even if you have a sin that has caused you to suffer, as the Gemara says, and Yisurim below oven, there's no suffering without some kind of sin. But with the service of mishpat that you initiate, shalom, you can redeem your soul from the pit of destruction. And instead, you can cleave to mercy and compassion. Hashem's, again, mercy, to surrender before Hashem and return to Him. Was somebody who hides from Hashem. From the heavens, they send him judgments and suffering to arouse him to tshuva, to humble him. Not only is his physical state very bitter and hard, God forbid he could be so upset and angry at Hashem. So therefore, if we think about all this, this solitude and the self-inflicted judgment that comes out of this, it's not only a good piece of advice, or derech nifla, or a wondrous way to go. It's the only way that a person can connect. Even when you're suffering. This advice is chaye nefesh. It is mamish, eternal life. So that is the essence of the connection that we have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So think about this. We are smart people. A smart person, who's a smart person? You can see the future. Now, people who are not smart don't see the future. People who are not smart, they just do things and they don't think there's any consequences. A person who every night spends a few minutes saying, I wasn't really so nice to so-and-so today. It really wasn't nice what I did. So you know what? I'm going to call him up and apologize. And my benching today was really, I flew through it. That really wasn't good. And you know what? It's the only way. You go to Hashem and you say, my good friend, I'm sorry I let you down today. I know I've let you down every day last month. And I know I really deserve lots of terrible things, but I'm really help me. I'm trying. I'm really sorry. And say, and I'm judging myself, Hashem. And I'm guilty as charged. But I know, I'm telling you, I'm not happy with who I am. And I'm begging you to help me. And that is smart. Because then, when the prosecutor comes, I say, I heard it all. I don't have to hear it. So it's the only way you're going to have this connection, Hashem. This is what all the vidui is about. Okay, so therefore, it's good to self-inflict. It's good to have a rabbi who at least puts the notion in front of people. You don't need to hear the rabbi let you have it. It doesn't work so much. Like I say, everybody knows the misery of their own souls. Just giving you guidance how you can beat yourself up. That's it. And you know what? If you're beating yourself up, you may have a chance to even listen. So we got about 24 hours to get to the task. Yes, Yom Kippur is also a good day, as you will hear soon on the pre-recorded air of Yom Kippur Drush. So we're not going to give that away. It's going to be coming out this afternoon. But still, this is a very effective thing. Had we not heard the words of Rabbi Nosson, how would we have misunderstood judgment? It's just a regular spiritual calculation. There is an aspect of cheshbon hanefesh, but we're going to see there's more. So we might think, without Rabbi Nosson, cheshbon hanefesh, bedika, you're checking. Visbonenus beim mema amika shenasi sharm yoshe benol benas urechesh v'nashi. You can sit by yourself and make an honest calculation, have your spiritual checklist. So, okay, there's 10 things I have to work on. Up. I put it down. How did I do today? Good in this, not so good in that. Cheshbon HaNefesh, so what was presented by the Balei Musar, was only between you and yourself. And this is where Chasidus breaks off over here, parts ways. Rabbi Nosson connects the aspect of the Cheshbon HaNefesh to HISBODEDUS. Klomar, Hamishpat Nasa Beina Adam Lashem Yisbarach. You're making the self-analysis with Hashem. Toch Kadeshu Misaper Lashem Yisbarach. As you're speaking Hashem. Misvada B'fanav, you confess before him. Mechashev Ezdrachav, you think about your ways. V'shayif Lech Lev Al Malolav Liv Hashem Yisbarach. And you pour your heart for your misguided actions before Hashem. That's a bigger thing. That's making Hashem your friend and letting your friend know what he feels like. Now, it could be the Balei Musar say, you know what, Hashem knows everything. Yeah, he knows everything, but you know what? You got to say it to him. Makes a big difference. A lot of things we know, a lot of things we do on our own, but the question is sharing. You know what they say about the little, I forgot which bears, sharing is caring, right?
Care Bears. Care Bears.
Sharing is caring. Right. That's what, not sharing your food, sharing your guts, sharing your feelings. Means I care. Now, Reish Nun Dalet. Yeshnam Hatmahim. They're those who wonder. Do we have Shalom Lashavas Imatzva? Why can't a person just sit by himself and make the calculation? What's wrong with just good old Cheshbon HaNefesh? Be honest with yourself. Can't we be honest with ourselves? Why did Rabbi Nosson come up with this added point that you have to do the judgment in the form of a discussion between you and Hashem? What's the value added to it? And look at this. Look at this answer. The answer is Shekimat. Minanimna sha'adam yishamesh kishayfet v'dayin shadun v'shayfet esasma. It's almost impossible for a person to successfully judge himself. And there's good reason for that. You're going to sit down. Okay, I'm going to be honest with myself. Sure. Kate said, how can a person be honest? I'm going to give a true judgment myself when he has his own predisposed bias of himself. And it is in halacha when it talk about court cases. Adam karav eitz alatzma. A person is closest to himself. A relative is not allowed to testify in a court of law about one of his relatives. Now, who are you the closest relative to, if not to yourself? And therefore, you're not allowed to say anything about yourself. When you're dealing with that, you're biased. You look at yourself, you'll say, I'm pretty good. Really? The other guy did that same thing that you did, and you condemned him soundly. And it's okay. Meshuchad, you're bribed. You're filled with bias and thinking of how great you are. You are the litigant yourself. You did whatever was bad. How could a judge who is rendered unfit according to all the civil laws of the Shulchan Aruch and Choshen Mishpat, how can he render an honest judgment? You're going to sit down sometime between now and the end of Yom Kippur. You're going to sit down and evaluate your behavior. Wouldn't you say you're more than a bit biased? Now, you're very honest when you have to look at your spouse's behavior. You're very biased when you look at everybody else in shul's behavior. But somehow, God has created us with the inability to see our own faults as clearly as we see other people's faults. So what are you going to tell me? I'm going to make a cheshbon on nefesh about how I did today. By definition, we can't be honest with that. But if you come before Hashem, and you ask for mercy, that Hashem help me judge myself. She is that I can merit to do a true judgment. Hashem Yerachem Elav v'yishbarosot, that Hashem should have mercy on him and judge him. Hu levado, you Hashem alone, v'lo acher, nobody else. In other words, what he's saying is, I know if I'm going to judge myself, I'm going to be off course. That's all there is to it. I will be off course. So Hashem, what I want you to do for me is have mercy on me and put me on the right course. It's a tefillah, just like we daven of everything else, Hashem. I should be healthy. I should be smart and all these things. So Hashem, help me rise above and beyond my bias. And let the judgment really be a reflection of what you would be judging me. And really, what I really would like is, I want you to be the judge and nobody else. But lately, we haven't had prophecy, anybody. But Hashem could put into our psyche an intellectual honesty. Hashem, you could help me to do an honest judgment. The sky and and fulfill as it says in Yoma. One who comes to purify, Hashem will help him out. So that's why you can't do it alone. You got to do it with Hashem. And you plead with Hashem. You say, Hashem, I'm going to now start evaluating myself. And I know I'm a crooked, dishonest judge of myself. I'm puzzled. So I'm begging Hashem, put the ideas of honesty and sincerity in my mind. That's why you have to put Hashem into the picture. Not only that, that he can now make a chesh nefesh after he davens. And it should be done properly. That's the point. You start talking to Hashem and you say, Hashem, I'm about to make a chesh nefesh. And I know that I'm biased. And I know when I start looking at things, I'm going to have a jaundiced way of looking at things. I'm going to always look at myself being the big tzaddik and blame everybody else for what I'm doing. Hashem, help me. Put some seichel in my head. Put some honesty and integrity into myself as much as possible. And have me see things I would never have seen before. Ella, rather, when you sit before Hashem, and you're confessing before Him, he's turning to Hashem at this time of judgment and discussion. So Hashem is Hashem will help him and bring words to that from the heavens. A divine illumination that will be drawn to him, as we've explained in earlier prakim. And look what he says. Look what he says. From Rabbi Nachman. This is not just good old-fashioned, run-of-the-mill siyata d'shmaya, divine assistance. When you do this, so bechinas shel is an aspect of, the pasuk says, "Vasim devarai beficha." I will place my words in your mouth. L'cha amar libi, to you my heart speaks. Bishluchosech, with your shlichus. In other words, it's not just Hashem helping, Hashem commandeering the process. That's what you're davening for. Therefore, the judgment that you create in yourself has to be done with HISBODEDUS. When you sit between yourself and Hashem, and you pour before Him your speech. Okay, that is what we have to be focusing on. This is what Yom Kippur is about. Mamish davening that Hashem should put the brains in your head. Okay, now we move on to Perek Chav Beis that I'd like to start today, and hopefully we'll finish after Yom Kippur, because tomorrow's going to be a busy day. Perchav Beis takes this a step further and asks the very first question of this judgment. And the question we ask is, Heichan ani ba'olam? Where am I in this world? And this is one of the steps of this HISBODEDUS judgment that we're giving to ourselves. HISBODEDUS has that aspect where you have to judge yourself, as we said earlier. And at this time, also maybe Rabbeinu, you have to bring the question that the Rebbe brings in the first story of Rabbi Nachman's stories with the viceroy trying to save the princess. And what does the viceroy say when he sees he's messed up? He says, Heichon ani ba'olam? Where am I in this world? And that's everybody. When you do HISBODEDUS, that question has to come up in one form or another. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Bender, Hayaragel Lomer was used to say, Sheshelus utzricha lelavos is called as onam kol yemei chayov. This question should accompany a person his entire lifetime. Heichen ani, where am I? La'ani gati, where have I reached? La'ani rose again, where do I want to go? Ma'itach l'shama higati lo'elam. What's the goal? That for this point to there, I've been brought into this point into the word. Am I even on the road to get to that goal? As it says in Mishnah, there are straight paths to the person's idea, but the end of that straight path is the way of death. In other words, a lot of people think, I'm on a good path, I'm on a straight path, when you're not going on a straight path. In other words, it's not just the point you've done an Aveira. Question is, what's my trajectory? Where on the GPS, right? They can tell you exactly where you are now, right? If you're lost, GPS says you're now at the corner of Lawrence and Bathurst. Lawrence and Bathurst, I thought I was going to be in, in Thunder Bay. No, you're a little lost, my friend. You're at Lawrence and Bathurst. How did I get there? Okay, where are you? See, now this is taking this way beyond the simple, did I talk Lashon Hara today? Way beyond, was I not careful in kashrus today? Because what we do depends a lot on where we are and where we're going. Pa'amim Rabos, many times, Rabbi Yitzchak Bender would do, he'd emphasize, a person should calm his thoughts, get his presence of mind together. And heichenu be'emes, to know where exactly are you. Nimtza, you found. V'lo yirmez, I shouldn't fool yourself. Befrat, especially, first, when other people praise you and glorify, saying, you're doing a great job. Especially at that time. You should come to try to know the real truth. Don't fool yourself. This is such a difficult thing because we live in a world that everybody's looking for public praise. You go on Facebook, you go on all these things on Google, not Google, the other thing, YouTube, likes. I want to have a lot of likes. Listen, be awfully careful when you have a lot of likes in this world. Because when everyone's saying you're doing so good, watch out. Who's saying that? Is it your Rosh Hashiva saying this? Or is it people who are already on the wrong path and are acknowledging your success on the wrong path? Right? That's what you got to realize. It's not just this was the thing wasn't right, and this thing wasn't right, but what pathway are you on? Are you on a trajectory that you're really in the realm you should be in, and you're making some mistakes in the place you should be? Or maybe you made a much bigger mistake. You don't even belong here. And now, because you're in a place you belong with, the only real answer is going to be change your course. If you think you're in the right place and you just have to make a few more turns to get where you need to go, you can turn around all day long, but you're in the wrong place. Making a lot of effort, but not getting there at all. Right? And that's the problem. That's the problem. And everybody's saying, oh, you're doing a great job. You don't want friends who are always telling you you're doing a great job. Of course, you need encouragement. I'm not saying you shouldn't have encouragement. But if that person never tells you, you are way out of line. You don't belong where you're at right now. Okay. One time, one time when Rabbi Yitzchak Bender went out of the Breslov base medrash in Yerushalayim, Chivralav Kama Nashim Ubikshu Lina Bo Kederech Anashim Tzadikim in the Shikas Yadav. So there is a way of honoring, especially with Sfardim. What do? They take your hand, the students, and they kiss your hand. They kiss the Chacham's hand. So he's walking out of the base medrash, and the Breslover Hasidim want to kiss his hand. Or Nisinas Pidyonas, or you give money to go for tzedakah as a redemption. That's something Rabbi Levi Yitzchak always ran away from that. He didn't want that on. So now, but they did it anyway. You don't have a choice. When he finally got to the place, he finally got to his HISBODEDUS spot. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Bender had a special spot where he did HISBODEDUS. They overheard him, even though you're in a closed room, but I guess the walls of Yerushalayim aren't that thick. Shamu mispal, they heard him davening and crying. Rabbeinu Shalom, Master of the universe. You really, truthfully know who I am. Bani Zokanti, and I've gotten old. And people are coming and giving me honor. But Vani Yochol Chas V'Shalom Litos, and I could, God forbid, fool myself and think I'm really great. Rachem Alai, have mercy upon me, Shlo Etta Esasvi, that I shouldn't fool myself. Or as he says in Yiddish, in the Mamalosh, Ich soll sich nicht losen nahren. I will not let me be suckered up. That's the comment. I won't let them make me into a fool. That's what it means. I won't let them encourage my foolishness to really believe that I'm a tzaddik. I mean, it's really nothing more than the Gemara Anita says. Gemara Anita says before the fetus comes out into the world, he has to make an oath. And the oath is he's going to keep everything in the Torah, blah, 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 everything. And then he says, and if the whole world says you're a tzaddik, in your eyes, you should feel like you're a Russian.
Sorry, it's on the wire.
It's okay. We're still good. The wires, we're all connected. Nothing happened. We're good. You hear what's going on?
Yeah.
So now, Pam Rabbi Avram Rabbi Nosson. One time he was speaking the words of Rabbi Aaron, the son of Rabbi Nosson, on the topic of Mefursamim Shel Sheker. People who are very well known, but it's all a lie. Everybody should learn this and know. He said, this whole topic, the tzaddik says, it's really talking all about me. It's all about me. Shiira, he sees, Shepirsumo, that he's very well known. Ushma Tov Holech Levanov. Right? And his good name is going before him. And it's Eino Pirsum Shel Sheker. It's not really a lie. She'ilu Echad Meyoshim Lefanov, because any people who stand before him don't know. So he said that. So now Shalu Echad Yoshim. So some people asked him, how could somebody think that way? So what is this tzaddik saying? He says, We talked about this subject, and you have to know this. And this is about me. Okay. And it's not a Pirsum Shem Sheker. But you got to daven for it. So how can you be so suspicious? I'm going to Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak said, no, if you don't daven, to not have this phony persona, you'll be the phony liar, the popular guy. The power of the Yetzer is very strong. To fool people, take them away from the truth. So therefore, the main question, where am I in this world? Where is my true station in life that I have to reflect on that? And clearly, this is a question that we have to ask ourselves on Yom Kippur. Where am I? Am I on the right track? And we can't fool ourselves. Can't fool ourselves. And sometimes, if you put yourself on a different track, then you could be, the challenges will be of a whole different variety, and the abilities for success and closeness to Hashem will be more achievable. Okay, shkoyach everybody for that. We'll stop the recording for today, and God